Grab your big book, your pen, your highlighter, and notepad and get ready to hear and apply some of the solution from the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous through the experience, strength, and hope of Nikki M. To have a question addressed in a future episode of Noodle It Out with Nikki, please send an email to noodlewithnikki@gmail.com, and Nikki is spelled with 2 Ks. To get a more interactive experience with Nikki as she noodles out life and recovery questions using the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, you can get a link to her weekly Noodle It Out with Nikki meeting held live on Zoom every Monday morning at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. The information to that meeting is in the show notes of this podcast. God morning, God afternoon, and God evening to all. My name is Justin B. I am a son of an all-powerful and all-loving God and a qualifying addict in multiple fellowships, living in the miracle of recovery one day at a time. And I'm here with the intelligent agent, spearhead of God's ever-advancing creation, and my co-host, Nikki M. Nikki, take a minute and say hi.
Hi, everybody. I'm just pumped up this morning after a wonderful Noodle with Nikki meeting. That's all in the podcast show notes. I'm really grateful today. It's a holiday Monday in Canada, and I'm going to go. There's all the fellowships in Toronto. If you live in a big city, you guys know there is so much activities to do. Today's like a softball game that I'm going to go and see all my sponsees. I collect a whole bunch. I don't collect trophies. I don't play sports, but I collect sponsees. So I'm going to have the greatest day of my life today.
Oh, it sounds like a blast. What is that national holiday in Canada today?
Oh, Justin, you're asking an American-raised, Canadian-born who left, but I think it's a civic holiday of some sort. I know banks are closed, and I know that people with government jobs get paid, okay? But show notes later if we want that, or Google it.
We want that.
Give our listeners something to look at later.
Yeah, Google it, everybody. See if you want to go to Canada for this civic holiday or not. All right. Hey, before we get diving into this question today, I just want to throw a little invitation out there to you and the listening audience. If you have received benefit through the RICO 12 program, the RICO 12 family of recovery resources, and your higher power is nudging at you and says, hey, here's an extra $10 in your life, please consider sending that to RICO 12. It helps us continue building and sharing this message with people who suffer the disease of alcoholism throughout the world. The reach that we have here at RICO 12 is so much bigger than anything I ever dreamt of, and I am so grateful for it. And it is true that ability to share that comes from you, the listening audience, you, the spearheads who are willing and able to share just a little bit from your life with us. Thank you so much for any support that you have given or that you will give. All right, Nikki, let's jump into our question today. And this question also came through the Noodle It Out with Nikki WhatsApp group. This comes from a female addict, and this person says, I am in need of a God squad. I feel incredibly alone and powerless right now. Is there a female love addict or codependent in the group I could connect with? Now, this is a somewhat unique question for a Noodle It Out with Nikki. It sounds like it's a very individualized, but I think all these questions, when they're asked, come from, hey, this is all about me. Let's noodle this one out, Nikki. What do you think about this question? What does the book say?
Okay, it says a lot, always. The book says everything. Everybody, I'm just so grateful for this magic book, Bill W., and all the 100 before us, because this literally is the treasure map that we've been looking for to get to freedom, okay? So she needs a God squad. But here's what really I want to drill in, because why? And if you listen to a previous podcast, or maybe it's coming up in a future one, Justin and I talked about why we can't do this program alone. So this person is obviously armed with the facts. This person knows they need a God squad, meaning we, not me. That's in the forward to the first edition. It talks about, the fellowship, why we need each other. It's all over the book, why we can't do this alone. So she's absolutely correct. She needs a God squad. How do you get one? You get one by sponsoring. That's been my reality. I just said it. Wow, God's really using me. Like today it's a holiday in Canada and we're going to go to this thing. I'm 51. I'm not into, I like to dance. If there was a dance party, I'd be there Britney Spears in the daytime, but this is a baseball thing. So I'm going to sit at the sidelines, drink sparkling water, and watch all my fabulous young sponsees run around and do their thing. See, that's how I got my God Squad, really. Now, after I have my sponsor, and then I start, Justin's had many sponsors. So all that is his God Squad. You collect them. But here's why you don't need a specific, you said a coda or a sex and love, or I just need an AA sponsor. See, this is one addiction, one affliction. It's called alcoholism. And this is what we're all suffering from. Page 52. That's why everybody, it doesn't matter the addiction. And it's on Rico 12. I think it's episode number 2. Cameron F. Are all addictions the same? Go to your Rico 12 site and download the podcast. I think it's episode number 2. Are all addictions the same? Yeah, thank you. And yes, there we go, Justin. So this is what it is. We were having trouble with personal relationships. See, whether you're a sex addict, whether you're high on alcohol, drugs, on social media, everyone is having trouble with personal relationships. We can't control our emotional natures. We're all prey to misery and depression. We can't make a living. We had a feeling of uselessness. We were full of fear. We're unhappy. We can't seem to be of real. That is the alcoholism. That's a spiritual malady, untreated. That's why. And Justin, it's funny that we're talking about this because I was asked to an in-person AA meeting. And I spoke on the disease of alcoholism. And I didn't call your name out, but I said, I have a friend on the West Coast, and he's never had a drink of alcohol. He comes from this background, and he identifies as an alcoholic. And he has every right to be in this room as everybody else does. Me too. And I really emphasize that because that really shocked me when, you've taught me so much, Justin. And it's like, yeah, this guy has never even had a sip. And Justin, I'm sure in your cups of thoughts, you are what they say, unlovely creature. I need to speak to your wife one day. Okay.
Yeah, you would. I am an unlovely creature in my cups. Absolutely. Yeah. That would be awesome.
Yeah. And so there it is. And so these are the bedevilments. So it doesn't matter. If someone makes the approach to you, like my sponsor, Cameron F. did, who slams alcohol and cocaine, and I like to slam men and money and all those other things, but we suffer the same right here. We're both beyond human aid, and we both have lost all the same things. So this is really radical. So number 1, you need a God Squad and you need a sponsor. So get a sponsor who's armed with the facts. And these are all the reasons, because can you repeat the question one more time, Justin? I have some pages I want to go to, but I want to frame it around the question.
Yeah. So she says she's in need of a God Squad, feels really alone and powerless, and wants a female love addict or codependent in the group that she could connect with.
Okay. Yeah, of course. And she's feeling alone and powerless because that's what you are right now in your disease. In your disease, you are alone because no one wants to be around somebody driven by 104, page 62. Everybody remember, this is what drives us. We're selfish and self-centered. That's the root of our trouble. We're driven by 400 forms of fear, self-delusion, self-seeking, self-pity. I want to turn to page 161. And halfway down, it says, but life among Alcoholics Anonymous is more than just attending gatherings and visiting hospitals. See, this is a lifestyle, everyone. That's why you need a God Squad. It's cleaning up old scrapes. It's helping to settle family differences. See, I call myself a life coach. I call myself a life surgeon, a soul surgeon. And this is all free. There's people out there that will charge for these things. But the work we do, if it involves 12 steps, must be completely free. Unless, of course, you're a yogini and you're doing something on the side that you're not promoting it in 12-step. I don't care. Just don't promote it in 12-step. You're going to explain the disinherited son or why you are lending money, securing. This is what we do. It says it's an everyday occurrence. See, if you are serious about this and you want a God Squad, so get real serious before you make this step 3 decision to abandon yourself to this lifestyle, because this is an everyday occurrence doing these things. I was sharing on Noodle meeting this morning. If you're listening, Mario, you just left my house to go back to Mexico. You and your family, your wife, your two daughters came here for a weekend and you stayed in my home because your wife's bucket list dream from Mexico was to see Niagara Falls, and you did it. And I was blessed, Justin. I don't want to tell you what hotel prices are in a big city right now. It was like, I can't believe I was able to help them like that. And it says here, this is why we need a God squad. Being wrecked in the same vessel. See, we're all wrecked in the same vessel, says page 161. And then we need a God squad because we're getting restored and we're united under one God. And I know Justin and I always feel better after the Noodle podcast. I know Justin and I'm not sure about David, but we always are on fire when we leave our round table. And Justin, you do a lot of one-on-one. I mean, how many podcasts have you done? You feel better. And I know you do, because I'm in your Rico 12 community chat where you're like, if you missed this episode, I can just feel it through the phone. Your enthusiasm, excited about your God squad, this new person you've heard, the new message. It's like you're being reborn all the time, united under one God. Here it is. We have hearts and minds attuned to the welfare of others. Everybody is your God squad. Your God squad is your sponsor. Are your sponsees attuned with the hearts and minds of the welfare of others? Like, this is radical stuff. And, but I've had people say, I've brought Cameron F. He is a hardcore message from Cocaine Anonymous into my Al-Anon meeting. Some people, it was a really weird day, Justin, that day. I brought him in. This is all before COVID, so nothing's online. I bring him in, and he's changed over the last 10 years. And I brought him in, and he went real hard at Al-Anon. Half the room left, literally got up and left. There's about 40 people in the room. 20 of them stayed. 20 of them got the message. They couldn't, because here it really is. They heard that we're all suffering the same disease. We're all, so a person who asked for, hi, I'm a new person and I'm not an alcoholic. I don't have that disease. You do, you just don't drink. And here it is. We need each other. So accept the help of anybody. How about, I just need a sponsor who is armed with the facts about this disease themselves and knows a way out of the hole. Why? It says on the top of page 161, I want to go over here to page 160, Justin. Let's read this, and I'll have you get in here for some chit chat, because I'm all over. But what we have here, when we get a God squad, when we get our big book, when we get a sponsor who's armed with the facts, they have a very, number one, practical approach. You need someone who has a practical approach to this problem, because you don't just have a codependency problem. You have a fear problem. You have a life problem. Your daughter, your son, your cousins have the alcohol problems, all these things. This is a life family problem. Number two, you have to have the absence of intolerance of any kind. Oh, but they do drugs. I'm just a codependent. I'm just a food addict. You understand? You've got to get the absences of intolerance of any kind. Number three, this is informal. Oh, the Al-Anon. And that was what happened in the room. I brought Cameron in from CA that day, Justin. I was like, this is Al-Anon, Nikki. It's like, no. If you really know 12 steps, Al-Anon went to AA meetings because there was no Al-Anon. We were all in one group. Read your book, everybody. Number four, the genuine democracy. See this, we're all equal. Go into the word democracy. We're all equal. This is a democratic system here. And the five, I even have a fifth, the uncanny understanding. And guess what? Whoever asked for the codependent sponsor, because they're a sex and love addict or they're a people addict, I needed Cameron, the hardcore cocaine slamming, bourbon drinking CA member, because he had uncanny understanding of this disease, right? And then it says right here, the thought on page 161, the thought of what they could do for some stricken acquaintance and his family. So that's why I need a God squad, because after this, the thought of what I can do for some stricken acquaintance, so no one has to lose a family member to suicide or alcoholism. And then Nikki had a host of friends. My line out, I got God squad. It seemed Nikki, I love this line, Justin, here we go. Everyone snorkels. I think we need an air pack for this, Justin, and I think we're going to park it here. It seemed they had known these strangers always. And it makes me cry because I know Justin B better than I know my brother. And I love my brother and I know my brother. But I've known Justin my whole life. You're my person. David G's my person. Like, people through this phone. Mario came in. I didn't even see him. He just literally slept with his family and was gone. My sponsee from Mexico. And long story short, I mean, 2 seconds with him, it's like my person, my people. You understand? Like, I've known these strangers. That's why we need God squad. I'm not alone. Remember, the top of the question was, I'm lonely. See, I've seen miracles. That's why I stay. And one is to come to you. One is to come to all of us. And sometimes it's every day. I love this. They had vision, the great reality, their loving and all powerful creator. That's what we're doing here, everybody. That's what we're doing here. Justin, any thoughts?
Well, I have a thought, but I'm afraid it'll derail things because that just landed really strong. And I've got, your comments are on pages 160 and 161. I've got just highlighted and squared and circled and underlined and everything because they just really jumped out and hit me today. If I'm alone, if I feel alone, I need to connect. I need to serve, work my step 12 and give back whatever it is. I mean, even if what I've received so far or what I feel right now is so little, if I share that, it will grow, it will magnify, and that God squad, that community of others will grow around me. And that fellowship that I crave will continue to happen and lift me. Yeah, I think that's what I have. Nikki, do you have any other final thoughts on this?
Well, I have some experience, strength, and hope. As I said, I've been speaking a lot because I ask God every day in my prayer, if you want God to use you, then just ask. That's a prayer. Use me, God, and then you will not be lonely. Because I'm everywhere right now, speaking and traveling. Because I'm traveling to Europe, so I don't really work that much when I'm away regarding speaking and carrying the message like this. But my experience, strength, and hope was this weekend. I saw a friend of mine, I think he picked up his 27th year clean and sober, alcohol, drugs, everything. But you know what? He's not sharing the gifts that God gave him. Like, and I looked at him and I said, you're sober, but you're not sharing the gifts. Like, God doesn't want you alone. I can see this in you. And he's a gay man, beautiful. It's like, you need to get out there. You need to get it. Remember, you tapped power. So go out there because you're sober and you're living and you're happy and you have your God squad. But I don't think you're living to that spearhead status that God wants for you. So my experience, strength, and hope with these people is, are you truly armed with the facts? Are you remembering page 49 that you're an intelligent agent spearhead and that we are all laser designed? That's on page 417. Let's go there so we can all remember that. And I had someone tell me the other day, the stories don't matter. He's in this hardcore group and in like 164 and the stories don't matter. I'm sorry. My experience is the stories are all me. We're all one. So when page 417 bottom paragraph is when I complain about me, like I'm lonely, I'm no good, or I need, or I want, I'm complaining about God's handiwork, God's blueprint for my life. I am saying that I know better than God. And that's pretty arrogant. And so like, I've realized that too, like, this is a real crazy thought. Because this is what we do everybody. We think our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane when our thinking is cleared of wrong motives. That's in the step 11. And I want to say, I've been thinking a lot about why I'm here and what I'm doing. And my purpose is to serve God's people. And the consciousness of my belief, page 55, is sure to come to me, Justin. And I'm going deep. Like, I'm a spirit, a soul. I've come here. I think I signed a contract in another world to come here to be an earth person and to really, like, I got distracted with the sex, the drugs, the rock and roll. And now I'm remembering who I am. And I'm here to bring people home to God. I don't want to be distracted anymore. Does that make sense? Like, I'm really here to serve God's people. That's why we exist. Page 77 is to serve God's people. So these are deep thoughts, right? Like, I'm created. I'm not to complain about any of God's handiwork. The great reality, we have a loving, all-powerful creator. I have found my people. You guys know me. Page 160, since we're just kind of parking it here, says many a distracted wife has visited the house, like the rooms, this community. Why? Because we're going to find many a distracted person. See, we're distracted by the disease of alcoholism, by the likes on my thing, by the work that, Justin, I know you work a lot. Like, we're distracted. And we need a place where we can find loving and understanding companionship among, it says, women, among people who know my problem. My line out says there is everyone's welcome. I need people who know my problem. I need people to hear from the lips, it says, of their husband, what has happened. I need to hear from your lips what's happening to me. Justin, today, like, you said something, it's like, oh yeah, you're tired. We need to rest. Like, we need each other. So we need the God squad. We need to know that it doesn't matter. It's the disease of self. It doesn't matter where. That's why David, like our David G's, all addictions, all afflictions. Our Cameron F, all addictions, all affliction. Justin, me, we are all addictions, all afflictions. So I'm going to go here, and then I'll leave you with the final thought. Justin, I'll let you leave us with the final thought. But roll back to page 159. Okay, because this is a real, it's really cool here. It says, and you'll find the thing, it says, they experienced a few distressing failures. Okay, that's talking about this new fellowship of AA, of Alcoholics Anonymous, that's growing across the country in America, and it's going to grow across the world if you're in 2024 now. And they've experienced a few distressing failures. Hey, Justin, you know the message is getting watered down. In Toronto, I know in parts of your area, we're getting a lot of distressing failures. Parents are losing children to fentanyl like you wouldn't believe. You know, I mean, it's nuts. Like, babies are losing their parents. It's awful. But in those cases, they made an effort to bring the man's family. See, everybody, you can create a God squad, real simple. Bring your family. Bring your family. Bring your coworkers in a general way. We share in a general way into the spiritual way, not religion. It says spiritual. Spiritual, we follow the message. Religion, we follow the messenger. Follow the message of love, of tolerance, relieving everyone from worrying and suffering. I'm getting down to where I want to get to. It says a year and 6 months later, these group of men who are, they're trying to get together, build a fellowship, build their God squad. See, number one, seeing much of each other. Number two, scarce an evening pass at someone's home did not shelter a little gathering of men and women. That's what we're going to do in the baseball park today. Happy in their release. Number three. Number four, are you and your God squad? Are you and your family? Are you and your dog and your cat, if you have nobody? Are you constantly thinking how you might present your discovery? What's your discovery? The 12 steps, freedom, a loving and all-powerful God. Are you bringing that back to your congregation, to your mosque, to your yoga mat? I have discovered, right? A way of living that is just amazing. And then we set apart one night a week. If you can't find a meeting, they're all online. Throw away your big book excuses for a meeting, for a gathering to be attended. Here it is. If you're in a room, everybody, I'm going to go deep on my resentment. If you're in a room that's a closed meeting, leave it, or go to the business meeting and say, page 160, anyone and everyone interested in the spiritual way of life. But Nikki, this is for Alcoholics Anonymous only. Tradition 3, we may refuse nobody. Everyone suffering the disease of alcoholism. So, because the question was, I need a CODA sponsor. You're going to be in 300 programs, madam, sir. So really know your book, because we need this lifestyle. We need each other. Yes, you need a sponsor. How do you get a God squad? You sponsor. Then you get into this way of living. And then you say, I need a podcast into the air. And then one day God sends Justin B to me. I'm over the moon in happiness. I'm just like obsessed in gratitude, Justin. I don't even know you, and God sent you to me. I mean, that's a miracle. Because someone needs to hear what my thoughts are. Someone needs to know this big book. And I sponsor so much that this is a really great thing. It's like, Nikki, I'm having trouble. Send. Did you listen to today's podcast? Send. I love you, Justin. I love you. I love you, Rico 12 family. And I'm going to say one more thing, please. You spent a lot of money in your addiction. Spend a few pennies, dollars, whatever you have to a seventh, because this is my God Squad Rico 12. And we need to keep this platform alive and going, because this needs to, Justin, remain online for your grandbaby, for all the future generations. I love you.
Thank you, Nikki. Really appreciate it. And I'm gonna wrap this up by coming to where we're at here. This person says, I feel incredibly alone and powerless right now. When I'm feeling that way, oftentimes my prayers are, God save me, God help me, God, me. If instead I change that verbiage to what Nikki said to the other prayer, God, use me. And I pray for the willingness to act when the opportunity to be used happens. And then I go and do that. I will no longer be alone. I will no longer be powerless, because the power of God and that God squad will lift me. And I will no longer have to say, God, save me. I am so lonely. I'm lost. God, use me. Everybody, I think that's where we'll end this off. God, use us.